Hi everyone, I'm Wong Janing and I'm from Group 2. My group members are Lý Tuyết Trang, Nông Phong Linh, Bối Hà Phong, Nguyen Tuan An, Thian Ji Yun, Don Sim Tong Eun, Grace Loa Jing Din, and Nur Ain Binti Zohati. Today we are going to share about the effect of education on household income and expenditure. Let's get started. First and foremost, the introduction. For your information, measuring the contribution of education to household income and expenditure is very important because education offers a pathway out of poverty and maintaining sustainable economic growth. Our research objectives are: what is the situation of household in Vietnam and Malaysia? What is the impact of education on household income? What is the impact of education on household expenditure? And how do Vietnamese and Malaysians feel about their income, expenditure, and life situation? For the methodology, our study used a quantitative method through regression model testing. Our expected contribution of the topic are scientific contribution and practical contribution. Our research paper consists of 5 chapters. Well, that was a brief introduction to the effect of education on household income and expenditure. I will pass the time now to the next presenter.
Alright, next I'm going to present the definition to you. First, we have income. Income means the value or amount that they receive for their labor or products. This is definition by Michelle P. Scott, 2022. Besides, income is also said to come from work completed, known as salary or wages, interest or capital gains or rentals from real property or land. Besides, household income is considered to be the total amount of money earned by all members in the household. Household income is virtually all income brought into the home by you, your family members, and anyone else living with you. It can be earned or unearned income. These sources include salaries, wages, investment returns, retirement accounts, and benefit payments. Next up, expense. Spending can be understood as a cash flow or any form of property in general to another person or group of people as payment for an item, service, or other expense. Besides, for businesses, an expense is a type of expenditure that goes through the income statement and is deducted from the sales to generate the net income. Besides, for household, spending is represented by the division of the general cost living per person. This includes the amount paid for accommodation, food consumed in the home, utility bills paid, and other expenses. Next, what is education? Education is defined as a learning process for the individual to gain knowledge and understanding of a higher and specific objects. Formally acquired knowledge is the result of each individual having a pattern of thinking and behavior consistent with their upbringing. Besides, education is the development of all those faculties in which the individual permits him to control his environment and realize his faculties. Besides, John Dewey defines education as the way towards living through a persistent recreation of encounters. It is an improvement of every one of those limits in the person which will empower him to control his current circumstance and satisfies his prospects. Right here, we will use the John Dewey's definition as it is most consistent with the aim of study and is more suitable to our study.
I'm here to present to you some of the previous research on related topics which we have collected through literature review. First of all, in the study of Quentin Chang and colleagues, using the OLS model, the author has proven that education has a positive impact on income. Specifically, when researching this issue in Northwest region of Vietnam, the author has presented 2 analytical cases in education. That is, the highest degree and the total years of schooling of the head of the household. The results show that both of these factors has a positive influence. That is, the higher the degree of the household head, or the greater the total number of years of schooling, the higher the household income. In addition, the study also analyzed different in regions in which households live, rural and urban, and their ethnicity. The results show that people living in urban areas and belonging to gang ethnic group will have higher income. In addition, the article also used dependency ratio household size. Both of these factors show a negative effect on income. On the same issue in 2020, Haidang Ryan and colleagues also give similar result for the education variable. However, in this study, the author used more QR model and further elaborated the vocational education part of the household head for analysis.
Using the same model, the study in Ghana by Frank, Charles, and Derek also gave similar results. However, In this study, the authors used some other variables to more clearly assess the expenditure of households under the impact of education. According to them, besides education, age, remittance, other income also have a positive effect on spending. However, household size has the opposite effect on this factor. Combining these two factors, in L's study in year of 2012, the author also gave similar results on education. Using statistics in Portugal for years of 2005 and 2006 combined with the OLS model, the author not only demonstrates the influence of education, but also shows the disparity of income when it comes to education. However, this study only makes conclusions about education without specifying other independent variables such as age, number of people in the family.
Now we are going to talk about data. The data in the research paper is collected from the survey of students of secondary in class. This survey was collected from December 2021 to February 2022. During that period, the class collected 621 survey questionnaires. However, some of the questionnaires were collected with errors due to incomplete answers or incorrect answers to requirements of the question that the resulting could not correct. Therefore, the group eliminated one number of votes and left 532 valid ones. Valid votes will be encrypted and entered into EVM SPSS statistic change software to conduct statistics in the next step. From study in the previous past, we propose the following research on LS model. It is noted that INI illustrates income of household I. EXI illustrates the spend of household I. XI is a vector of household characteristic, race dependent on age, gender, ethnic group of household head and household size. EIE education level of household head. Beta E parameter needs to be estimated. Variance IE variance. Next, we examine the impact of education on household income and expenditure to the question about the level of agreement by making the scale provide regarding your views on monthly uses and spending. The scale, after being evaluated by Compass Alpha, reliability coefficient methods and EFA factor analysis, will be used linear regression to measure the influence of each factor to the problem under study.
So firstly, analyzing the household's income, we can see that the higher the education of the household head will make the income more higher. This is shown in the positive signs of the variable income in the result. For the Malaysia, if the education level of head of the household increase one rank, their income will increase by 0.31 unit. This result is similar in when we research in Vietnam. However, the income level is increased by 0.309 unit. When reading the previous results, we see that this result is similar to the study of Hai Dang Nguyen and his college in 2020. The results show that the higher the education, the higher the income for the research, and especially the average of income per person is about 34% higher for those who are not finished high school yet. Besides, when studying in the income, we see that in Malaysia, the age, the larger the age is make their income more higher. So now we'll move to the expenditure of Vietnam and Malaysia. In terms of spending, the results show that the household with higher level of higher education level of the head household will have higher level of spending. The data from the table shown that if the household education level will increase one level, their expenditure in Malaysia will increase about 0.107 unit. As for Vietnam, this figure will even higher, about 0.2% 0.2 unit. And from the analysis above, we think that in our opinion, this can happen because when their household income increase, they will expect that their qualities will have to better, and they spend more money to improve their lives. Besides, not only income but also support payment also contribute a lot to their spending level. The table shown that the positive effect of the level of support for spending in both Vietnam and Malaysia, you can see here. And besides, the results shown that in Malaysia, gender and age are also impact the level of spending.
So hi, today I present the result of analysis. In this study, we use 3 steps. There are the Krupek alpha test, EFA analysis, and multivariate regression analysis. First, with Malaysia, with the Krupek alpha, the result show the Krupek alpha coefficient of the scale are all greater than the 0.6 and less than 0.95. At the result table, the Krupek alpha coefficient of sum of each variable is greater than 0.3, and this is a conceit of conclusion of Hair 2016 for the analysis of following step. Next step is the EFA result. Using the principal component analysis exaction method with variance rotation with the factor loading greater than 0.5 Hair 1998 for both independent and dependent variables, and balance test to consider the hypothesis of correlation between the observed variables. After run the EFA analysis, we have a result. The result of EFA analysis show that the total variance exacted was the 51.833%, and KMO was the 0.837, and balance test was the statistically significant. So EFA analysis is appropriate. The finally is the result of regression analysis. Firstly, with the income variable, look at the result. After 2 steps, the regression analysis, we have the result from the data table. We can see that adjusted R square is 0.003. That is 0.3% of the change in the income variable is explained by variation of the independence of the model. So next, explain variable. Look at the result. We can see that the adjusted R square is 0.3 of charge in the expand variables is explained by the variation of the independent variables of the model. So next to the Vietnam. So first, the analysis, the Krupek alpha. The result of Krupek alpha show that the Krupek alpha coefficient of the scale are all greater than the 0.6 and less than the 0.95 with the 0.866. So cubic alpha and cubic alpha coefficient of sum of each variable is greater than 0.3, and so the result the reliability analysis so that the scale ensures the conditionals for the performing next step. Go to the EFA result. It is so that the total variance exact was the 53%, and the KMO was 0.876 with than the 0.5, and the Paris test was a have a 6 is a 0.000 and less than the 0.05. So the EFA analysis is appropriate. Next to the regression analysis. First, result of the income variable. So look at the result. We can see the adjusted R square is 0.008. Thus, is a change in the income variable is explained by the variation of the independent variables of the model. So finally, the regression analysis of the expand variables result. Look at the result table. The adjusted R square is the 0.001. Thus, 1% of the charge in the expand variable is explained by the variation of the independent variables of the model. So on the level contributes of the importance of the independent variables to the model explain model Malaysia and the Vietnam expand or income will also be discussed and give solutions in the following section. After we analyzed the data we estimated, we obtain the following regression results in the slide. First, with the Vietnam, with the variable income, there is no independent variable affecting income. On the other hand, there is a variable B54 that is significant with the independent variable with the standard coefficients beta is the 0.217 and 6 is the 0.18. So next with the Malaysia, for the income variable, there are three variables B51, B57 and B58 that correlate with the dependent variable. And finally, the surprising thing about the variable from Vietnam, the expand variable has no impact from the independent variable.
Now we will talk about suggestion. First, on a personal level. First, this school have course in how to manage your money, so it is important to learn the basics through free online articles, courses, blogs, podcasts, or at the library. Second, smart personal finance involves developing strategies that include creating an emergency fund, paying off debt, using credit cards wisely, saving for retirement, and more. The last, being disciplined is important, but it's also good to know when to break the rules. For example, young adults who are told to invest 10% to 20% of their income for retirement may need to take some of the fund to buy a home or pay off debt instead. On a macro level, the government needs to pay more attention and promote personal finance education for the people. This will help people have more comfortable life, partly reduce poverty and country growth risks. if family prosper, the village prosper, and eventually so does the whole country.
In conclusion, in this article, we use two ways to make statistics. First, we use the OLS model to assess the impact of education on household income and expenditure. Next, we use linear regression to measure the impact of each aspect of the problem under research. Our research results show that education has a positive impact on both household income and expenditure in Vietnam and Malaysia. The income level of the head of household will increase if the education level increases by one level. For Malaysia, it is increased by 0.310 unit, while Vietnam it is increased by 0.309 units. The expenditure of the head of household also will increase if the education level increases by one level. For the Malaysia, it is increased by 0.107 units, while Vietnam, the increase is higher than 0.147 units. Besides education, gender and age also affect spending levels in Malaysia. Next, the variation of the independent variables of the model explained adjust R² is 0.041, which is 4.1% of the change income variable based on the model summary table shown. By referring to the sign of the variable B51, the monthly income of Malaysians can help them with their monthly expenses. Besides, Malaysians have a propensity of generating a shopping list, but they do not compare price between the products. Based on the ANOVA data table, the adjust R² is negative 0.003, which is 0.3% of the change in expense variable is explained by the variation of the model's independent variables. However, we can see that all variables are not statistically significant from the coefficient table. We can see only the variable B56 has statistical significance at 10% from the coefficient table. This result indicates that the income of Vietnamese people increases if and only if they buy necessary items. The table of the coefficient for the expenditure-dependent variable shows that only the variable B54 has statistical significance at 10%. This shows that the increase in food price will affect the demand for food in Vietnam. Although many efforts have been made to minimize possible errors and increase practicality for the topic, the research paper cannot avoid limitation from causes subjective as well as objective. That's all for us. Thank you.